Tech?
Hey guys, this is Rich, and today on What the Tech, we're going to be taking a look at the WRAITH 33-gram edition. So there are already installation videos going over how to install the WRAITH CO2 stock on both an AEG and on the MTW. So we're not going to cover the details of the installation of the stock itself. All of that is exactly the same as it would be for the 12-gram version. Instead, what we're going to talk about today is the parts that are specific to the 33-gram edition and how to swap between the two. So first, let's take a look at what comes in the package. There are three different versions that we're selling of the 33-gram stock. One is the full stock, which you have here. This is the MTW version. We also have an AEG version. Next, you're going to have the 33-gram adapter. Now, this is the 33-gram adapter and expansion chamber set up so that it can be plugged into any standard regulator. It's a standalone unit here. It's great for a lightweight kit where you don't need to fire a whole lot of shots. Perfect for a sniper or a DMR or something like that. Next, we have the 33-gram conversion kit, and that's this little guy here. These are the parts that you need to swap over from an existing 12-gram stock to the 33-gram stock. Along with the parts themselves, you will get a toolkit that will match the version that you got, and an O-ring kit that will also match the version of the system that you've ordered. So let's start with the smallest system, just the 33-gram conversion kit. And we're going to take that apart, show you what it looks like inside, and then we'll work up to the complete systems. So in your toolkit, you will have some Allen wrenches, a little spanner wrench here. This spanner wrench works to install and uninstall the parts of the 33-gram adapter. Now, if you're needing to disassemble this unit here, the conversion kit portion, then you're also going to want either an 18mm wrench or just an adjustable wrench here for use with the flats on the side. Now, you'll notice we've already removed the O-ring that sits in the groove here. You'll want to do that before you try to put a wrench on it. In addition, the parts are Loctited together, so a little bit of heat might not go amiss in order to break these free. To remove the inner portion of the adapter from the outer portion, we're going to use the flat end here. It's going to sit in the notches here, and we're just going to unscrew it. If you want to get a little bit better leverage, you can use a tool through the middle to get a little bit leverage turning on the spanner wrench there. So if we unthread this, we'll have our inner threaded portion, which is steel, so the threads will hold up. And then if we tap out the inside, we have our exterior. We have our puncture pin. This is the same puncture pin as in the 12-gram version, with the O-ring, 1x5mm O-ring on the back. And then we'll have a seal. Now, notice that the seal is not the same between the 12-gram version and the 33-gram version. They're different outer diameter. So to assemble this, we're just going to install the 1x5mm O-ring on the back of the puncture pin. We're going to drop that in place. Make sure it seats correctly with the pointy side up. Then we're going to drop the seal on top, and again, make sure that it seats down in there correctly. Then we're going to thread this back together. Now, before we do this, if you're doing this, you're going to want to put some blue Loctite or similar on there because we don't want these unthreading while it's in use. So again, we're going to tighten this down, thread it all the way down, get our wrench to hold on to the outer portion, and then we're going to tighten the two halves together. You should feel it stop, and about as tight as you can reasonably get it just by hand on the tool is about as tight as we want it. Again, Loctite those two pieces together before you do it. Next, we're going to need our 90 durometer O-ring for the outside of this, which we can install. And there we go. Our conversion kit is ready to go. Now let's take a look at how to convert an existing 12-gram adapter or existing 12-gram stock to 33-gram. So we're going to use the adapter here just because it's easier to work with, but the process would be exactly the same if you're using the 12 gram stock. So first we're going to unthread the 12 gram adapter portion through these two pieces here. You have your cap and your 12 gram holder. Next we're going to remove the spring and the puncture pin piston assembly and set those aside. We don't need any of those for this. Now all we're going to do is we're going to take our 33 gram conversion kit, put a little Loctite on these threads, then we're going to use the spanner side of our wrench. We're going to thread it together. And this should thread all the way down until it bottoms out. You should feel it bottom out against the baffle inside. It may get a little tight, but it's going to come to a complete stop right there. And again, Loctite those threads, and there it is. This is now a 33 gram adapter. So lastly, we're going to go over the 33 gram CO2 stock and talk about it a little bit. Converting a 12 gram to a 33 gram is essentially exactly the same as doing as what we already showed with the adapter, but we're going to go ahead and disassemble the parts out of the stock so we can see how that works. You can use the included Allen key to unthread the screw at the front. And then the easiest way to do this is just to thread in a cartridge a little way, an empty cartridge, I recommend, and pull out the interior parts. So you can see this is just your storm regulator with your adjustment screw right here, and then your 33 gram conversion kit parts right here. Maintenance of this is going to be exactly like the 12 gram version or any other storm regulator. You're going to remove the 3 screws on the side. You're going to be able to separate the regulator and service all the internal parts. You can check out our storm maintenance guide if you have questions on how to do that. Reinstallation of the components. Again, we're going to use an empty cartridge, thread it in, and then we're going to line up the adjustment screw with the hole on the top here. It's going to line up with the second hole right here, the adjustment screw will, and then when we flip it over, our thread should be lined up with this hole on the bottom. And we can tighten that down. Again, if you're using an older version of the stock, make sure that the screw head sits all the way below the surface to ensure that it's properly threaded into the storm regulator inside. And there you go. So I'll just mention one more thing in closing. If you have one of the original WRAITH 12 gram stocks, there is actually a separate expansion chamber and reg base that are threaded together. Now, I recommend if you have a stock that is like that you put a little bit of Loctite on these threads as well, because you don't want them backing out either as you're changing the cartridge. The newer version, and what most of the WRAITH CO2 stocks on the market have, is a one-piece reg base and expansion chamber, and it doesn't unthread, so you don't have to worry about that in that case. As far as using this system, whether it's the 33 gram stock or whether it's the standalone adapter, the process is really quite simple. There's no setting of the depth like there is with the 12 gram system or anything like that. All you're going to do is take the cartridge, thread it in, and tighten it all the way down until it seals. So it'll puncture, and you'll need to tighten it a little bit further just to make sure it fully seals. And that's it. From there, you're going to set your pressure with your regulator, whether that's a standalone regulator with the adapter or the regulator on your CO2 stock built into the buffer tube. It is generally recommended to fully empty the CO2 cartridge before you change it, or at least mostly. If you change the cartridge with a lot of CO2 left in it, you're going to be blowing a lot of liquid CO2 past the seals, which can cause drying out, expanding, freezing, things like that you don't really want. The seals in the system are designed to be quite robust, but you can still damage them if you freeze them and cause them to expand and then install a new cartridge on top of them. It can cause problems. So it's generally recommended to empty the cartridge at least as much as possible. We realize during gameplay sometimes stuff's going to happen, and that's why the seals are made to be replaceable if it comes to that. So that's it for the technical overview video on the 33 gram WRAITH CO2 stock. I hope this was helpful. If you guys have any comments or questions, leave them down below. Give us a like and a subscribe. We will see you guys out on the field.